we're back. You met Alex and Sean and Munir on stage at the beginning. What I thought we would do is get them all together, and when we have this kind of brain power in the room, why don't we ask them some questions that some of you have all wanted to know the answers to. Sound good?
Sounds great.
All right, let's start with this one. How about, and I'll throw it to you, Alex, first. With the shift to modern work styles and remote work, where are customers struggling the most?
I think it kind of started with, we already mentioned this today, it kind of started with the sort of great resignation that we've all heard about, right? Like existential crises from employees, huge amount of churn. Now, from this perspective, that's a lot of provisioning of hardware, sending out new hardware, and then you layer on top things like the silicon shortage, and it just becomes a compounding nightmare. And as we consider what's laying ahead with economic uncertainty, I think now people are really struggling with what's the balance of choice, okay, risk and cost. I think that's the assessment that's going on inside the business I'm talking to.
Makes perfect sense to me. Sean, what do you think?
So, Kevin, I think at the very beginning of the pandemic, we saw huge amounts of, organizations struggle to be able to get their workers productive remotely. And in a lot of cases, there was a huge skyrocket of both virtual desktops and desktop as a service, just trying to get people productive as quickly as possible. Now, we're 3 years into this pandemic now, but this concept of the hybrid workplace is still the top conversation that all of our, sellers are having with customers. So it's not something that's entirely solved. I would say that the continued movement to employees having choice on what device they use to do their work is causing organizations to rethink how they provision enterprise IT to their employees. And a lot of organizations want to embrace bring your own device. And that's actually an area that both VDI and DAS can help out immensely, because the operating systems in the desktop operating system world don't do a great job at segmenting the applications and data security between a personal use and a corporate use. So virtual desktops and DAS is a great way to solve that problem. And as Alex kind of talked about, organizations have to do more with less. We've got to find ways to get them productive as quickly as possible, and these technology solutions are a great way to do so.
I agree totally. Munir, it's a journey, isn't it?
It's a journey that starts, and hopefully, you learn so much as you go throughout the way. Like the thing that we talk about a lot in AWS is building these, building blocks that allow customers to get rid of these undifferentiated heavy lifting. And so as that applies to our space, like when we think about where customers tell us they're struggling, it's like, how do you build a bridge so I can get rid of that undifferentiated heavy lifting? How do you make it easy for me to take solutions that I've been running on-prem or on end user devices for a number of years, and how do you make it so that I can just bring that to the cloud? The constrained IT staffs, the need to run your apps from anywhere at any time on any supported device. These are the things that we've got to figure out how to make easy, so that journey is as fun as it possibly can be moving to the cloud.
How about that? Okay. All right, and let's go, let's keep going. Sean, I'm gonna go to you first this time, okay? So let's dig in. What are we doing to help them? How can our solutions help them transform their business to be more competitive, provide better experiences for their workers?
Yeah, so Kevin, it's a great question, and I think that's one of the things that, we'll take an opportunity to talk about the collaboration we've done between the Horizon solution from VMware and Amazon Workspaces. Hybrid virtual desktops and apps is actually the sweet spot for a lot of organizations, because many organizations don't really know enough about their applications. They don't know which ones are latency sensitive or how much latency they can manage before the application performance gets really, really bad. So the nature of having a hybrid solution means you can start with your users in your on-premises data center. You can move a select number of them up to the cloud or a select subset of applications. If those things aren't performing as expected, you can move them back on premises and find that sweet spot of where those applications should reside to optimize the user experience and performance across the board. And also, hybrid gives you great opportunities for things like disaster recovery and BCP and capacity expansion to the cloud. So there's tons of different use cases where we can leverage that hybrid cloud capability. And at the end of the day, we always say user experience is king. And with the work that we've put into our BLAST protocol and user experience, we think we're going to bring a lot of great user experience and performance to the Amazon Workspaces platform. And we think ultimately that's what's going to help users be successful.
I agree. That's exactly what customers are telling us as well. And Alex, Ubuntu is going to play a big part in this role as well, isn't it?
Yeah, we're quite fortunate in the fact that we've almost become a default for developer experience for producing cloud-based applications, and that's so far so good, right? But what's missing? Well, until now, we haven't really had the ability to go to a central IT organization and say, hey, look, let's deliver a pre-built Ubuntu experience which you can deliver on demand to users as they come onto your infrastructure and off. And that's really quite crucial when you start bringing in third parties that need to access your network, and also using development houses in lots of different environments. So I think that ability to deliver that on demand, I think that's going to be truly impactful as we go forward.
It's really going to drive efficiency as well. So Munir, and also going to offer choice and flexibility, yeah?
Tons. Built on that efficiency, right? Like if the goal is to make your staff as productive as you possibly can be, if the goal is to make your IT admins, their lives a lot simpler, you need that flexibility. Those folks need that choice. They need to be able to work across a lot of different services, a lot of different apps that they're used to working with. And then as the next one comes in, they need to be able to adapt and move quickly. And so absolutely flexibility, absolutely choice. It's very Amazonian, right? You may recall our original mission statement talked about providing a great deal of selection so that customers can search and browse. We think of it the same way in this regard, so that folks can use the services and use the software that they're very, very familiar with. So be it Canonical, be it Ubuntu with Canonical rather, be it VMware Horizon 8, and so on and so on. Zoom. We've worked with Teradici for a long time too. So, lots of flexibility and choice that you get working with us.
Absolutely, absolutely. This is going great, man. Let's keep going. I'm going to throw it right back to you, Munir. We've all heard the term future of work before. Let's unpack that a little bit. What do you think comes next? And should customers be thinking about this as they develop their multi-year strategies?
I did a conference last year where, I was asked the exact same question. I was kind of like, the weird thing about that question is the future is happening right now, right? Like, we've been kind of going through that thing that, we've seen over the last several years be available to us, right? The ability to do more work in the cloud, the ability to get so much more done because of the things that the cloud and AWS can bring to the table with security and reliability, with performance and low costs. But the pandemic sort of changed the way that we thought of, customers thought of adopting, and accelerated it. And now, as Alex called out earlier, like the people are being very transformative with the way that they want to go about getting stuff done. And so the future for me, it's actually already started. We're living it. And it's really cool that as we go forward, we're going to continue to get pushed on better security. We're going to continue to get pushed on lower costs and helping out with the constraints. And we're going to continue to get pushed on being able to provide the most selection we possibly can.
Absolutely. And gosh, Sean, the last couple of 3 years here, give me your future of work and start in 2020 of what you think about that.
Yeah, so I'll kind of echo what Munir said. The pandemic has really forced a lot of acceleration. I say we've lived through 10 years of digital transformation in literally about 3 to 6 months. So it's been pretty massive, the change that's happened. And so really the future of work is right now. It's what we're doing every day today. At VMware, we've been promoting this concept of a digital workspace for about the last 6 years, and we had a tagline that we had called Enterprise Secure and Consumer Simple. And so a lot of what we're doing is trying to drive that simplicity in how people access their applications, whether they are native apps or web apps or SaaS apps or virtual apps, making that pretty seamless. In the future, in terms of where we think things are going, We really think that data science is going to play a pretty important role in how we solve for the next set of challenges. And our vision for the future is something that we call autonomous workspaces, basically leveraging the data that we have about a user's workspace, about the applications, about the networks, about all of those things, and using that data to provide contextual insights to drive things like self-configuring and self-healing and self-securing of that workspace, regardless of whether those apps are contained inside of their local device or whether they're coming from multiple different clouds or SaaS applications.
I agree. And Alex, Ubuntu certainly plays a role in this, and now and the future, as both these two have told us.
Yeah, I'm going to come from a slightly different angle. I think we've seen very recently lots of statistics, right? 99% of companies now, enterprise companies now using open source software. Yeah. I think that proliferation and explosion of open source software is going to just continue, right? And that's going to create some stress in the system, right? But certainly lots of opportunities. I think what is like almost self-evident, how that open source has affected infrastructure and development. And I think unless you look carefully, it's not as noticeable at the end user computing side of things. I think what is noticeable is the rise of like SaaS unicorns that have sort of changed the behavior of, instead of person to computer, it's now that experience is shifted online, right? And I can see that continue. Look at the pandemic, it's now shifted person to person collaboration online. And I can see that just continuing. So it only makes sense to me, instead of thinking about application on endpoint, you put that in the cloud, that's going to reduce latency. So I think that's much more the direction we're going to go in. So if you're considering a multi-year strategy, I think you have to have that firmly in focus. And I think they're going to be very powerful tools.
Wow, there you have it. I'm glad to have gotten the three of you together because I've always wanted to hear what the experts say about these questions. If there's anything else, I think we'll wrap it.
That's good.
Thanks for having us, Kevin.
Thank you very much.